Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020. On today's show, former Gamecock shortstop Bobby Haney joins me as he does each and every single Tuesday to break down South Carolina's opening weekend sweep over the Holy Cross Crusaders. We'll talk about pitching, hitting, fielding, just everything that happened as South Carolina gets the sweep and starts their 2020 season 3-0. Before we get into everything, this is a podcast sent to you by our friends over at New Ground Hard Nitro Lattes. Guys, let me tell you about New Ground. We had the tailgate last Friday, which thank you to everyone that came out. This drink, everyone that tasted this drink, it is absolutely amazing. Guys, I love this drink. If you're a big coffee drinker like I am, you're going to love this. They have two flavors, cafe latte and chai latte, which both have 5% alcohol. So it's enough to enjoy casually, but if you're trying to have a tailgate, you're with friends, you're at a party, you want to turn up and have a good time, these things are the way to go. Like I said before, guys, these things, they taste absolutely amazing. There's actually a reason for that. They're made with real coffee and tea, natural flavors, real sugar. They're GMO-free. You know, a lot of times when you drink an alcoholic beverage, you're having to sacrifice flavor and taste for that buzz you're looking to achieve, right? Not all alcoholic drinks taste good. We all know that. Not the case with New Ground. These things taste amazing. You can really tell the difference as far as that it's made with natural flavors. When you drink it, it tastes like a natural drink, not something that's processed or made in a factory, anything like that. They actually have naturally occurring caffeine in the cafe latte flavor, or if you're more of a decaf person, you can go with the chai latte flavor. It is caffeine-free. You can find the drinks all over the Southeast, from South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, in any stores like Harris Teeter, Publix, Total Wine, Trader Joe's, Food Lion. Guys, if you can't find it, ask for it because they are everywhere and they're taking over the game. If you want to learn more, be sure to check them out at drinknewground.com and be sure to follow them on social media at Drink New Ground. Again, that's New Ground Hard Nitro Lattes imported from Holland. Check them out, drinknewground.com, and follow them on social media at Drink New Ground. The Spurs Up Show is also brought to you by our friends over at Ag South Farm Credit. Guys, most lenders don't understand land financing. Ag South Farm Credit specializes in land financing and has been doing it for over 100 years. They make loans for small and large acreage, hunting property, timberland, farm and pasture land, even home mortgages and construction. They have a ton of great benefits, including long-term fixed-rate financing for 20 years, down payments as low as 15%. They have competitive rates, and they pay an average of 25% of the interest back every year as what they call patronage. They're cooperatives, so they share in their profits with their member borrowers. So, guys, for example, on a $300,000 loan at 6.5% for 20 years, you would get back $2,770 each year. They have an experienced lending staff that knows land and knows how to finance it. Guys, whether you're buying a house this year, next year, the year after, if you're making that big-time life decision, and really in any life decision where it could be stressful, strenuous, whatever, you want to make sure you have the right people in your corner, the right people on your side, the right team surrounding you, right? So we can make everything as simple as possible, especially when it comes to buying a house. Whether it's you're buying your first house, your dream house, you're buying a plot of land to build a house on, you want to make sure, guys, you have the right lender. Ag South Farm Credit is that lender. They're going to hold your hand every single step of the way. They're going to take care of you, answer any questions you may have. They're going to be in your corner and on your side. One of the questions they get asked most often, the name has farm credit in it. Are you just for farmers? That's something a lot of people ask them. That's a question they get asked all the time. So not at all. Their mission is to support rural America, and that can include just about anything that involves the purchase of land. So a lot of their customers are those that just want a piece of property outside of the town they can live on. So if you have any more questions about what Ag South Farm Credit can do, give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, or visit their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS. Again, that's AGSOUTHFC.com/TSUS. Ag South, an equal housing lender, NMLS 619788. So again, their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS, or give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. All right, let's get into it. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show as he does each and every single Tuesday during baseball season, former Gamecock shortstop Bobby Haney. We're breaking down a full weekend. Just your overall takeaways, your initial thoughts. Again, we're talking about a team that the big storyline, I know I was talking about it, everybody was talking about it, Kingston was asked about it. 2 years in a row, you lose on opening day. You come out against Holy Cross, you get a dominating 10-0 win. And again, I think that sort of set the tone for the entire weekend. But again, watching the series, a team in Holy Cross you should have beaten, but you take care of business. Just talk about your initial thoughts from South Carolina getting the sweep and starting the season 3-0.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was excited to be out there. Taking care of business, like you said, so important, especially after what happened. I forgot that they lost both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his first 2 seasons losing opening day. Yeah,
that's not fun at all for anybody, and for the fans too. So good way to kick it off. Great pitching, great defense, and a little timely hitting. I know we took advantage of some or a lot of mistakes that Holy Cross made, but we took care of business and we got the sweep, and that's what you need. You got to have that confidence, especially we usually don't have a midweek game sometimes in the first week of the season, and we got a midweek game. 2 midweek games this week, so ready to go. Yeah,
like I said, I mean, you take a look at that series, and I predicted the sweep going in. Holy Cross, a team that was not really that great a year ago. They had one stud pitcher, a couple decent guys in the field, but you felt like going into this one that if this South Carolina team is going to have the season it wants to have, it needed to take care of business. I mean, Holy Cross, South Carolina is a much better team, top to bottom. Nobody can argue that. But in college baseball, I mean, you saw Georgia almost lose on Friday night to Richmond. I mean, college baseball, anything can happen. So definitely kudos to South Carolina, again, for taking care of business and getting the sweep. We're going to break it down from hitting, pitching, fielding, everything you said. I want to start in the batter's box as far as hitting, because that is the one thing I said going into this season, Bobby, that was what I was most anxious to see, I guess. I don't know if what I was most worried about is the best way to put it, but what I was most anxious to see, I mean, you outscore your opponent 24-4 over the weekend. Nobody's going to be upset about that again, but 241 average, 19 strikeouts. We saw some big home runs. I mean, you saw Wes Clark, Andrew Eister, Bryant Bowen in his first career at bat for South Carolina. Yes. I thought the approaches were a lot better. You can definitely tell that the approach is different. It's more gap-to-gap line drives versus everybody just go out there and try to hit home runs. I think that benefited a guy like Noah Campbell, who I talked about. It was so pivotal for him to have a good start. And, I mean, compared to last season, his start was fantastic this weekend. Hit right around 290 for the opening weekend, which isn't bad. A lot of guys having big weekends. Braylon Wimmer, a true freshman, having a big weekend. But I know a lot of fans, when they look at that series, and, again, it's against Holy Cross pitching, and you're hitting 241 with 19 strikeouts. I mean, should fans be concerned about the hitting right now? I mean, what were your overall thoughts as far as just the approaches, the philosophy? I mean, and then I guess the overall results as well.
No, it always takes hitters a while to catch up to the pitching. That's how it always is in, spring training, big leagues, wherever. So same thing here in college baseball as well. Coach Kingston will say the same. But we got some big dudes. Eister showed, he's going to be one of the power hitters. Wes Clark, great job. He's got tons of power, but I feel like we got to see more from, the top and the bottom. We got those big guys. They're going to do their job with the home run here and there and driving guys, but I feel like Brady Allen's got to have a different mindset maybe this year a little bit.
And I think he's in a weird spot too, though, because we talked about it a little bit off here. Like, I don't think he's a leadoff hitter. I don't think that's his best role. I mean, I think he gave you some good at-bats in that spot as far as working the count, but I don't know that I don't think he's a true leadoff hitter. I think more of a guy like Noah Myers would fit in that role that played on Sunday. I said all preseason, I think that fits him beautifully. But, I think some of what factors into it is, like you're saying, is they're kind of figuring out this lineup, tinkering with different guys, putting them in different spots in the lineup, and maybe it's going to take a couple weekends for guys to get truly comfortable where they are.
Yeah, I'm not hating down Brady, but the 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, that's kind of don't got to do too much type of hitter. But if you're a leadoff guy, you kind of have to change, like you're changing from left field to second base. You're a different person now. You're
just a whole different mentality.
Yes, you can't be. Yeah. I saw him taking maybe a 1-0 or an 0-0 hack, and it was just like he was trying to leave the yard. I mean, I would probably too if I was playing against Holy Cross, but different hitter, man. I want to see a lot of middle of the field. I want to see right back at the pitcher's head, to center field, line drives to center. Even Eister going opposite field twice.
Yeah.
A single, almost a double, and then a home run, obviously, with bullpen.
Yeah, he had a huge weekend. I mean, and Eister's a guy, watching him when he's, like you said, he had the opposite field home run where he went right center gap. Also had a pull side one, which was an absolute bomb. But when he's going right center field gap, and that's, you could probably say that about any hitter. I mean, when they're hitting the ball opposite field, they're locked in. You're seeing it well. You're covering both sides of the plate. I wanted to say, too, the big thing is we're talking about hitting philosophy and just overall philosophy in general. 11 stolen bases on the weekend. I know it's Holy Cross again. I mean, I know South Carolina obviously identified a weakness with their catcher and took advantage, but I'm hoping, and again, I'm not going to draw conclusions from the first weekend, but I'm hoping it's going to speak more so to a trend we're going to see all season that, again, contrary to last year, this is not a team just built on the home run. It's a team that can execute the hit and run. It can play small ball. I mean, I thought you saw Noah Myers. Again, Holy Cross, everybody wants to point the errors and say, and they were bad. I mean, they were bad in the field, but South Carolina's guys put pressure on their defense to make plays, and they didn't execute. I remember Noah Myers specifically laying a bunt down, beats it out. There's a throwing error. I mean, that type of stuff's going to happen when you're putting pressure on the defense. So I'm just hoping it's not just a one-weekend thing and we make this truly a trend moving into SEC play where, again, this is a team where it has a nice mixture of speed, power, being able to, get them on, get them over, get them in, that type of baseball versus just the home run.
Yeah, I think Coach Kingston's changing the philosophy a little bit. I saw even Campbell laying down a couple of bunts. I think he's got to do that against the big-time teams, just to open up, get him on base and then be able to steal some bags. But, yeah, Brady's got to steal. Campbell's, I'm sure, probably got the green light or something like that when he gets on base.
Campbell had, I think, 3 stolen bags on Friday.
Yeah. And,
so, literally went first and second and third at one point.
Yeah, and second and stealing third has got to be almost as important. I think Brian Roberts was here, whatever it was 20 years ago, and he was the best in the world. His dad taught him how to, steal third base, with a little shuffle and go. So it's got to be our game, man. It's got to be important. We can't rely on Eister and Clark to get these guys in. So
yeah, like I said, the home run is a great thing to have. I mean, you get it when you need it, but being, like I said, multidimensional. Just highlighting a couple other guys. Again, Brady Allen was the one guy, I talked about yesterday's show, who's hot, who's not. Didn't even want to pile on necessarily because we talked about it pre-show. I mean, Brady gets 2 hits. He's hitting 300. So it's no big deal, obviously. But, Braylon Wimmer, true freshman, his first action in a Gamecocks uniform, he hits 444, 4 for 9. Eister was seeing a beach ball at 333. George Khalil, your guy, hit 333 on the weekend, which, talking to a lot of Gamecock fans at the park this weekend, he's a guy, not to compare him to you too much, but if he hits over 250, fans will be ecstatic if George hits over 250 for South Carolina because he's obviously a vacuum in the field, which we're going to get to in just a second. But, yeah, Wes Clark 300, and you kind of just go down the list. A lot of guys, a lot of different guys making contributions, and I think we're going to continue to see that as well. So I do want to talk about, something I did not mention quite as much as I should have for sure on the show yesterday just regarding this series, Bobby, and that is the defense. And obviously you're a defensive guy. You were known for your glove in the field throughout your entire playing career, but especially at South Carolina. We were talking 3 games. I don't care who the opponent is. You play 3 games or really 2.5 games because the third game cut to 5 innings. But you go through a full weekend, no errors. How again, it doesn't matter the opponent. How impressive is it for a team to go through an entire weekend and not make a single error?
No, it's so hard. It's the first weekend. You don't know
first weekend of the season, too.
Yeah, you don't know how the ball's bouncing. It's cold. Holy Cross had a lot of trouble with the wind, apparently, if there was any.
I wanted to point this out to you, bro. I've never seen a team so bad at catching pop-ups. It doesn't matter what level. Especially a college team. I've never seen a college team so bad at just catching a pop-up.
If you're in the gym for the last couple of months, you better get to the park early, and you better be hitting some sky-high bombs to your boys, to your players out there.
They didn't even have, there was no communication. You had balls with a second baseman's backpedaling. It's obviously right fielder's ball. He's just standing there picking his nose and right, I guess. Just crazy.
Be aggressive, man. The guy behind you has to be aggressive. If I look behind me, Jackie was there. I knew who was going to take me out. Yeah. He was getting the ball. So was Wade or Marzulli. So you gotta be aggressive out there, just like the guy from Arkansas didn't call him off in the College World Series. Yeah. And they lost that's it. Next thing you know, Oregon State 2-run bomb. Yeah. But, yeah, back on track to just amazing defense. You got the 2 big guys in the middle. Khalil's so smooth it's so hard to be smooth when you're above or you're 6 foot or above. And some bare hand plays at third, some good catches in the outfield. But yeah, it's hard to do that, to get your legs underneath you when it's the first weekend, especially on Sunday too with those bad conditions. So hats off to the boys playing D, and it keeps us in the game. Yeah,
Kingston talked about it, kind of wrapping up the series was, if you have elite pitching and elite defense, you just need your hitting. You're going to win a lot of ball games. 2010, for example, any team that wins championships, if you have elite pitching and elite defense, you're going to have a chance every time you go out, and you're going to be a really, really good baseball team. That was the thing that really impressed me the most defensively was, there were a lot of opportunities for errors. There were a lot of tough plays that we were talking about again off air. Brendan Malone was nice at third, but obviously he's dealing with the hip flexor. So Jeff Heinrich comes in, and I mean, this dude is making just barehanded throws over to first, with the glove, running throws to first right on the money. Then you have Braylon Wimmer at second that, I mean, he introduced himself to South Carolina fans immediately on Friday night with a couple of, diving plays in the hole, which my biggest thing with him coming into this weekend and probably throughout the season, we'll kind of just see how it plays out with him. But I like Wimmer a lot. The biggest thing I saw from him in scrimmages, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot from guys you played with, maybe yourself, you went through this, but like he had the tendency to make the spectacular play, but then the easy play sort of like almost overthink it a little bit. Yeah. I thought he was, I don't know, he flushed that on Friday. It was beautiful. I mean, he had some fantastic diving plays in the hole. I mean, like I said, introduced himself to Gamecock fans. And then one play that sticks out to me on Saturday, Noah Myers comes in as a defensive replacement. And, I mean, folks, if you missed this, I'm sure you were watching. Brett Carey gives up a ball right center gap near the national championship logo in that right center gap past the track. And, I mean, Noah Myers goes from a standard center field position to run this ball down in right center field. Almost gets under. I mean, it's a liner, too. Almost pretty much gets under. I mean, a big-time play. So, I mean, I was extremely impressed with the defense. And again, Sunday, I mean, it's a sloppy day. Like, you have every excuse to, throw the ball around, and this team found a way again. So I definitely think it shouldn't be understated, because for a team that, maybe will be figuring out early on, tinkering with the lineup, figuring out what their best nine is as far as that lineup is concerned, and figuring out the bats, you can rely on your defense, and you have good pitching. Again, you're going to give yourself a chance to win every game you play in, basically.
Yeah, back to the defense, though, thing, too. You got the guys making the spectacular plays. I feel like I was one of those guys, because once your feet stop, the ground ball right at you, you start thinking a little bit.
Right, you get anxious, right?
Yeah, you're not as fluid. So when you're keeping your feet moving, and when you're stopping or just fielding the ball on the run and spinning, you're not thinking about anything, obviously, and just getting rid of it. But yeah, Noah Myers
I like him a lot. Yeah, he's a speed guy. Like,
he's got to get on the bags. He's got to get on the bases. Yeah. We got to put pressure on these catchers in the SEC. Coming up. I know we're talking ahead in the SEC, but
no, I mean that's what it's all leading up to. I mean that's what you're using non-conference for, is to get ready for that grind for sure. So go back to your point though. I mean that's why I love Noah Myers in that leadoff spot. Is just he's a guy that. He's not going to be a basher or anything, but you don't need him to be a basher. You need a guy to work the count and to put pressure on the defense, like handle the bat, hit the ball. I mean, he's a guy that, you hear the expression, that guy hits 250 with his legs. Like, he should probably be one of those guys. Hit the ball into the ground and just take off. I mean,
I think that's the thing too. We also, those pitchers threw 7 or 8 pitches, a lot of at bats. I know they're Holy Cross, but it was 2-2.
We made life very tough on them.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was awesome. They were battling, they were fouling pitches off. Maybe not battling, but they were down 0-2. It was 2-2 in a heartbeat, with our guys. And Brady started doing that too at the beginning. So that was good.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to bring up too, you mentioned about George Khalil being a bigger guy. I mean, Braylon Wimmer's 6'4", and he's playing second base and looks good. I mean, looks good doing it. Runs like a gazelle. I mean, it's –
last guy that was DJ LeMahieu at LSU. Yeah. I looked over at short, and I'm like, that's the shortstop. The guy's like 6'4", and LeMahieu was – he's smooth for a big guy.
Yeah.
He can hit too.
I mean, it's just crazy again. I mean, you factor in he's a true freshman and he talked about after the series growing up, watching you guys, the 10 and 11 teams, and thinking to himself he wanted to be a South Carolina Gamecock. And then, to be a true freshman, you get on that stage, you're starting opening day, and then you go out there and make those plays he made. I thought was super, super impressive. But again, you finish the entire weekend with no errors. Everybody on the field deserves credit. I mean, everybody. I mean,
Absolutely.
The catching, I thought the catching behind the plate, the defense was beautiful. So it just a full team effort for sure. I want to move to the pitching side of things, because that's pitching and defense was certainly the main highlight to me over the weekend. I mean, 1.57 team ERA, 7 walks, 31 Ks. You saw a staff, I thought, that really dominated outside of like 2 innings. You had Brett Carey, which got hit around a little in that 1 inning, just sort of left the ball up, belt letters, and I mean, he paid for it. But other than that, I mean, 5 innings, 12 strikeouts, and then you saw a couple relievers on Saturday struggle with some control, which is obviously something Kingston has pointed at, and it's got to get fixed, which I think it will. But outside of that, I mean, Carmen Mlodzinski just set the tone Friday night, 7 innings, shutout baseball. He looked like a true Friday ace. I mean, the fastball was 95, 96. He hit 97 to start the game. He's throwing an 89, 90-mile-an-hour cutter. Breaking ball is devastating, plus changeup. I mean, then you bring in Graham Lawson, who's throwing 95 miles an hour. And, I mean, overall, I mean, just your overall thoughts from the pitching staff. I mean, I really do feel – and then Brandon, I want to give credit Brandon Jordan on Sunday. I mean, obviously threw all 5 innings of that game. And he's a guy that, you know, we talked about that Friday night you got to have that guy. Saturday and Sunday you more so can play a 7-6 game or a 10-8 game or, you know, whatever. The bats will come alive over the weekend. But I'm telling you, Brandon Jordan, I like Brandon Jordan a lot. I mean, I said it all preseason. He's a guy that the delivery is really simple, repeatable. He's just got great mechanics, throws down the zone. He throws a lot of strikes. To me, he's kind of like Brett Carey in the sense those guys are both strike throwers. And what I thought was interesting Saturday, Bobby, is like I could almost say Brett's almost a guy that throws too many strikes sometimes. Like he throws it too much in the, you know, that's a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing.
He throws too many strikes at times. But again, I think it's a situation where you score 5 in the first inning, like here, just hit it. We'll play this game. Just get as, you know, be as efficient as you can. But overall, your takeaways from the pitching, what I thought was a really successful weekend, first weekend for this Gamecocks pitching staff.
Yeah, Carmen did what he had to do, but I mean, he was jacked up, but you got to stay hyped for those, you know, those, I guess, middle-class teams, or whatever you want to call them, Holy Cross. And, yeah, Carey did his job, left a couple balls up. Even his, like you said, even his curveballs are just they're in the middle of the plate all the time.
They were Saturday, yeah.
It's a great get me over pitch. Like, great job. You got to get me over curveball. Right. But you start flipping those get me over curveballs, you know, against better teams, then you know, different outcome. But I think it looks like they've been pitching all year. It looks like they've been
They look sharp. The stuff wise look sharp.
Everybody and
did.
strike throwers, you know, from even the bullpen, they're still, you know, hitting the corners, and you know it's a little straight here and there. Some of the guys that are throwing the ball fastballs, but you know it's around the plate. So that's going to be our backbone of our team, obviously, and they're just waiting on the offense to, you know, keep clicking during the year. But yeah, the pitching is going to, you know, set the tone. I think everybody's, you know, holding their breath and hoping and praying that Carmen can stay healthy.
Yeah, and like you said, this point of the year, like reminding everyone, the pitching is always ahead of the hitting. I mean, it's very rare that you're going to come out and score, you know, I say it's very rare you're going to come out and score 10 runs a game. We damn near did that. I mean, that's the funny part. We you know, you score 24 runs in a weekend. Nobody's going to complain about that. And like you said, I mean, watching Carmen, I know the question you had coming into this was, you know, and a lot of people are saying, well, he only had 3 strikeouts. And you look at that game Friday night. Comes out, dominates. You get 6 runs in the first inning. Your job as a pitcher at that point, and you know from playing in the field behind him, like fill up the zone. The one way you can kill a rally or kill that type of momentum is you start walking guys and you're trying to pick corners, and then your guys are in the field on their heels because it's like, you know, keeping – I thought that was one thing, and I will say this. Holy Cross, whoever your pitching coach is, should be fired, demoted, whatever, because the tempos from their pitchers were terrible. I mean, it was, you know, being in the field, man, when you're in the field, like you love a guy that's going to get the ball back, get it back.
On the mound.
Let's stay on our toes. Let's keep it going. When you have a guy up there that's just taking forever, he's stepping off, and then he's throwing balls or he's getting hit around, you're just sitting there in the field like you're getting lulled to sleep. So I thought our guys, especially Carmen, again, setting the tone for it, I thought he did a great job. Throw a strike, get the ball back, do the same thing. Just repeat it every time. And I thought that was something, again, after that first inning, filled up the zone a lot, let his defense work for him. And again, when you have a defense that makes 0 errors an entire weekend, let them work. They're obviously good. Let them work. So I thought the entire staff, again, did a great job of that. Again, you had some guys on Saturday. I know Julian Bosnick, not to pick on him, but a guy that was his first appearance, I think, ever for South Carolina. So maybe the nerves are running a little bit. Maybe he's jacked up. You know, Parker Coyne, the stuff looked phenomenal Saturday. Had 2 walks. Again, maybe he's jacked up. I mean, he was a guy hitting 94, so I'm sure he's pretty fired up. But I do want to talk about really quickly, because it was our first time getting to see him this year, was Danny Lloyd. I mean, he's going to be your closer. Comes in a situation Saturday where he does get the save. Again, it's bases loaded. You're up by 5. But like Kingston said, you just want to end that game before any more damage happens. But, man, Lloyd comes in, 95 with the fastball, 88 with the slider. I mean, that's some big-time stuff.
Yeah, we're not really looking for, 97, 98 from a closer. I mean, even in college, 95 can get it done. Oh, yeah. But you need that slider. You need that
slider's
wipeout.
Devastating.
You need that wipeout pitch. It's not, not a lot of closers are going to have changeups, but you got to have that, that devastating
You can
slider.
live with 2 pitches in college as a closer.
Yes,
sure.
Yes. You got to spot your fastball, even if it's at 93, 94.
And he actually got the cutter now, too. He did add that pitch. So
Cutter's great away on righties, and then, if you got, Kerstad coming in from Arkansas,
right.
Best left-handed hitter in the country, maybe cutter on him. But sliders down the way to a righty, that's going to be devastating in the 8th and 9th inning. So, we're lucky to have him.
For sure. So looking ahead to this week, Bobby, again, like you said, I know when you guys were there, I don't know when this changed because I know last year it was funny. We played the exact same teams. Tuesday you got Winthrop, Wednesday you got PC. I know you said for you guys, and I do remember this, it seemed like after that first weekend you took a week, you had your next weekend, then you started playing the midweek games. But now it's, for whatever reason, they're playing midweek games immediately. Again, you got Winthrop Tuesday at 4 o'clock at Founders. You got PC Wednesday, 4 o'clock, same time, whatever. Just kind of talk about, again, you're coming off a sweep. You're feeling, pretty good about yourselves. I think it was a great series in the sense that you get a lot of confidence and you feel good about yourselves, but there's still a lot of things to work on. There's a lot of teachable moments for Kingston and that entire staff and things they're going to be looking to improve, obviously. But I guess, what do you want to see from this team in the midweek? And I'll just revert it back to you, like you guys when you were at USC. And that 2010 team, for example, undefeated in the midweek. What's the approach? What should the approach be in the midweek, especially for this team in the sense, and I guess it's sort of similar to the 2010 team where you haven't proven anything yet? I mean, what should – because I know it's easy for fans especially to say, well, it's Winthrop or it's Presbyterian. We should just go out there and just beat the hell out of them. But college baseball is just not like that. That's just not how it works. So what should be the mentality? Like, what are you looking for from this team as they approach the midweek?
Well, PC I think they're better than Holy Cross, I would say.
I think both these teams are better than Holy
so
Cross,
they're
sure.
So we should be jacked up for this game. This isn't a midweek game. We're 20 games in, 15 games in the season. These guys are far who's pitching tomorrow or pitching Wednesday. He's still trying to prove his spot. There's still guys trying to prove their spot in the lineup and on the mound and the bullpen. So you're not taking this lightly at all. No chance. So, and 5-0 is going to look great going into this weekend, but you got to dominate every pitch, every inning. Can't take a pitch off. Coach Tanner would always, say, these games are important in the long run. At the end of the season, they're going to look at your midweek games like we did last year or the year before that, and we had all these losses racked up, and it hurt us when we went 8-22 in the SEC. It was automatic that we weren't going to make it. So
I was going to ask you, did anything with Tanner? I'm sure not the team. I'm sure not Tanner either, but did anything change in the approach? And did anything, the way you guys approached the game, was it any different than a weekend game other than just when it was played?
No, it wasn't different. But Tanner would go out there in the outfield, like he does every single time before the game starts, and he would almost be more serious,
right?
Like Nick Saban is getting on the players. When it's 35-0 Alabama in the second quarter, he's screaming at somebody,
right?
Because he thinks that they're taking it lightly because they're playing Valparaiso or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the coach is more jacked up because he's looking at the laziness because he thinks that the 19, 20-year-old kids are going to get lazy because they're playing Presbyterian or they're playing, Winthrop. But it's the last 3, 4, or 5 years, it hasn't been good in the midweek.
Right.
So we know we got to, step it up. But everybody's still proving their spots, so they should be jacked up.
I definitely feel good about the midweek this week and then going throughout the season because, like you mentioned, Thomas Farr getting the start tonight. I mean, you got Andy Peters on the mound Wednesday, which – if fans probably have not seen these guys throw, but watching them in the scrimmages, I mean, these are both guys to me that, that Sunday role is sort of fluid, right? That Sunday starter role, like if one guy starts struggling, you have other guys that can come in. If Brandon Jordan, for whatever reason, starts to struggle, I mean, these are two dudes that absolutely, in my opinion, can come in and get the job done. I think we're competing for that Sunday role in the preseason. I mean, Thomas Farr, guy that both these guys are coming back from arm injuries, so that'll, they threw all spring, so they are healthy, but this will be their first full seasons coming back from TJ or whatever arm injury they had. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But, I mean, Thomas Farr was a guy people were talking about. He was sitting 95 miles an hour. Andy Peters is a guy watching him in the scrimmages. He's 91, 92, sort of similar to Jordan in a sense. And like you talked about, he's one of those polished JUCO guys. Right. Like he doesn't like a freshman. He's a lot like Jordan where the delivery is real repeatable, has a hammer. I mean, he has an absolute hammer. So when you have two guys like this going in the midweek, I mean, I feel really, really good. With all due respect to Winthrop, to PC, to whoever else you play in the midweek, these to me are two weekend arms that are getting these starts in midweek.
Those two guys are coming after your Sunday job too.
Yes,
so don't think your Sunday job is
100%.
Yeah, is safe. But we're gonna look to see the offense too. What can the offense do during these midweek games? They're gonna throw out maybe their number ones, but you got to come to play with this offense. We want to see what the hitters can do and keep stealing bags, but we are loaded with like you said, polished arms.
It's
not just.
I think the JUCO route has certainly paid off for Kingston in the sense of just, I mean, you take a look at the lineup, the pitching staff, it's, it's definitely paid off.
It always does. Yeah. I think you're not waiting for development.
Right.
These guys
are ready to go.
Yeah. We're a little scared because we've never been a part of, 8,000, 9,000 people in the crowd and stuff like that and the high velo on the mound. But we've been in competitive games before all over the state of Florida, Texas, and California. These JUCO guys are ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. So I know I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to ask you, as far as reverting back to 2010, who were your midweek guys? You remember the starters, the pitchers?
Yeah,
I feel like that was the thing with you guys. Like, it just goes to show how deep your team is. When you go 10-0 in the midweek, and which is I think that was the record, but undefeated in the midweek, like that truly is a testament to just like we are that deep, loaded on our staff.
Yeah, we had Nolan Belcher just going to just he's just pumped up. Yeah. He wants that Sunday job. I think he got it a couple times. Jay Brown was in the mix. He was on Sunday, but and he was one of the leaders, being a fifth-year senior, so he had to go out there and shove. But yeah, you can't take it lightly. You're disrespecting the game. It's just you can't even get that in your head. You can't go to class thinking you're going to win. You can't come into the locker room thinking you're going to win. You got to play hard. Same game, doesn't matter. And how about this? Get your stats up.
Yeah.
This is a stat game for anybody, especially with the bats, man. We've all done damage, and here's a chance to do it.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about in the preseason. I mean, you with all due respect to the teams you're playing in the midweek, but the SEC is not the time to get your average up. It is now. Mm-hmm. It is in the non-conference. Pad the stats, like you said. Get yourself sort of a good base to when you go into SEC. Get that confidence. I do want to touch on one thing you said, because talking about how pivotal, and I'm sure Mark Kingston's saying that to his team, but how pivotal these midweek games are, because the SEC is such a gauntlet this year especially. I mean, I think I was looking at the D1 baseball poll Monday morning. I think they have like 7 teams in the top 15 in the country.
8 and 25.
And you're playing, I think, almost all of them. So, I mean, you got to capitalize, add as many wins as you can to the resume, because that's what eventually is obviously going to help your resume out. Maybe it's going to put you as a number 2 versus a number 3, or maybe it's going to be the difference in you hosting and not. So definitely think they're important. But obviously we got a fun action-packed week. Again, Winthrop tonight, PC on Wednesday, and then Northwestern coming in for the weekend. That should be a fun one. 4, 2, and 1:30, I believe, are the start times for that one. Bobby, always a pleasure, man. Chris. Look forward to it next Tuesday. We'll break it all down. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. He's Bobby Haney. I'm Chris Phillips. We'll catch you next time on the episode of